This is the ExtraTime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast. I'm Oisin Langan, and the noise you're hearing is the aftermath of Dundalk's 2-2 draw with Derry City at Oriel Park on Sunday afternoon. Coming up, we'll get the analysis of Candystripes legend Liam Coyle on that match, and also he'll give us his views on the 2-2 draw between Shamrock Rovers and Shelbourne on Friday night. We'll also chat with Stephen O'Donnell, Ruaidhrí Higgins and Ben Doherty, who's very much enjoying being back at Derry City, having spent some time away at Glenavon, Larne and Coleraine. As well as all that, Owen Heary examines the top two, Bohemians and St. Pat's, who met in a cracker on Friday night at Dalymount Park, with the Saints winning 3-2. We'll start though at Oriel Park, where a Ben Doherty goal had a dominant Derry leading 1-0 at the break. The Lillywhites improved dramatically when Pat Hooban came on in the second half, and the equaliser came when Benson met Ward's free kick, but Hooban, well, his presence did make a difference there. Within moments, the hosts led when Lee Coco ran down the middle after Derry gave it away from the restart. He went low past Maher to make it 2-1. Sub Cian Kavanagh headed the equaliser and the game finished 2-2. Other events of note were Wasiri Williams deservedly getting sent off, while Robbie Benson should have been awarded a penalty after being brought down in the box while the game was locked at 2-2. Both of those things happened within minutes of each other. For more detail, by the way, read Aoife Mullen's match report on extratime.com. Dundalk's Greg Sloggett was stretchered off in the first half after an awkward fall. More on that to come with Stephen O'Donnell, but first here's Ruaidhrí Higgins speaking to Drive 105.
I think it's a game that got away from us. I think we were the better team. They had 2 chances, scored 2 goals. We had more chances, we had more territory, we had more possession, I think, and we looked the more threatening team, and in my view we've deserved 3 points.
They made a few changes, Pat Hooban on, and maybe that give them a better tempo in the game.
They had a period in the second half where they were on top, but it wasn't for that long, and I think for the majority of the game we were the team in control. The 2 goals come completely out of the blue, and as I said before the goal goes in, they haven't had a chance in the game, and then we gift them their second goal and left ourselves a bit of an uphill task. But as this group always does, we showed character, and Cian Kavanagh scored a world-class header, and it's right out of the top drawer, that header.
Close and positive from today. Michael Duffy back on the pitch.
Brilliant to see Mickey back. He looks sharp. He caused him a few issues, and he's a smashing player, and we're delighted to see him back in the team.
This is the ExtraTime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast, and we're standing in the sunshine outside the Lillywhites training centre in Oriel Park. Dundalk 2, Derry City 2. Stephen O'Donnell, Dundalk manager. A point gained or 2 dropped?
2 ways. Looking at it at half time, we were 1-0 down, obviously. Then obviously the natural reaction when you go 2-1 up and after 70 odd minutes, whatever it was, you want to go on and win the game. But just more importantly, from my point of view, I said to the group at half time, I know what we're about from a personality point of view and a belief point of view, irrespective of the scoreline of what we show in the second half, and I was delighted with the answers I got.
You got to see, I suppose, the best of what the new lads are capable of, if I can call them that, and also what the older lads, the more experienced lads, the lads you know are capable of. How important was it today that both sets stood up? Because you know yourself, sometimes there's question marks over lads when they arrive in the league and they don't know the league and it takes a while to settle in. It's
really important to have that blend, but we need everyone to stay fit to be able to have the blend. The minute we're bringing a body back, we're losing a body. So it's just very frustrating in that regard. But it's no secret, Pat Hooban's has been the best striker in the league for the last 10 years. Robbie Benson's been one of the best midfielders in the league the last 10 years. That's no secret. So we know their impact they have. We just need to get them on the pitch as fresh as we can each week.
How much will today bring on the likes of Lee Coco? Getting a big goal like that, that's a boost to his confidence. And maybe that transcends to the other new lads as well.
Definitely belief. We want to be that team robbing the ball as high up as we can, like Johannes did. And he shows good running power then. That's what he's about. He's a good footballer. Not easy midway through the first half. You're watching, you're not expecting to come on, then all of a sudden you're in the thick of it. So it took him a little bit of time to grow into it. Second half, very good. And he's a really good mentality. And we have a really good blend if we can just get the blend, if you know what I mean, from an availability point of view.
Yeah, I think anyone who has seen you in the last couple of weeks knows exactly what you mean. Just before I let you go, because I think at this stage you've done 54 post-match interviews. Greg, what's the situation there?
Just went up for a header, landed, and just with the surface, how dry and hard it is, if you don't land square on with your foot, potential to roll his ankle, so he just rolled his ankle on landing, so we'll see how he is.
Opening scoring here today at Oriel Park for Derry City, number 14, Ben Doherty.
This is the ExtraTime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast, and we're sitting on the bench beside the pitch in Oriel Park, where Derry City and Dundalk have just played out an exciting 2-2 draw. Ben Doherty, you got the first goal of that game. Talk me through it.
I think from what I can remember, ball just dropped in the middle of the park, and I've sort of picked it up, and Ryan Graydon was making a run on the outside, and I've played it to him, and as he's drove forward, everyone's just made their way into the box, and I just held me run a bit to the edge, and I've just used the man to bend it into the far corner and put us in. Probably came at a good time right before half time and give us that sort of lift just before the half.
Now, it ended 2-2. From the neutral point of view, it was very enjoyable. From the Derry City point of view, is it a point gained away from home or 2 points dropped?
It's probably 2 points dropped with the circumstances, definitely. I think if he says coming to Oriel Park, it's a tough place to come, a point isn't the end of the world, but with the circumstances it definitely feels like 2 points dropped from our point. Some of the decision making, we'll call it, just wasn't like us, especially from some players that have done so well for the club, and look, they were first. They admit that in the change room after the game. You hold your hands up, but in saying that, I think we showed massive character to come back and get the equaliser, because this place was bouncing and they had their crowd got right on their back going towards the end, and I think then on another day we probably won with the chances we had and they go down to 10 men, but look, as I say, not the end of the world coming here and taking a point.
Is that the frustrating thing, that actually by the time they equalised you could have been 2 or 3 up given the chances and domination you had?
Yeah, exactly, and it's probably been our problem the past while, just not being able to take our chances or not being clinical enough. I think scoring 2 today was good from us, and we're making mad some mad decisions that it's putting us in problems. But look, it's there's a long way to go still, and as I say, this isn't the worst place to come and take a point.
After the last 2 games, how important was it to come here somewhere like this and to not lose, and to maybe get the draw in a circumstance where it was quite tough, because you went 2-1 down in games when they turn like that they can get away, but actually you settled back in, got your equaliser, maybe could have snuck it in the end, had a chance or 2.
Yeah, and I think that's a sign of the group as well. It comes from the manager. We don't give up, and we go to the end, because you never know, you'll always get a chance, and that's the way the group plays. We'll always get something, and we've put a few set pieces in. We've had a few scares. We've threatened the goal a few times, but it just comes down to being clinical, and I think it's going to click sometime soon, and hopefully it comes sooner rather than later. And look, it's, as I say, a point's not the worst, but off the back of the last 2 matches, we were definitely coming here looking for a positive result today, and I think you've seen that in the performance.
We certainly did. What about yourself in general terms? This is, I think, your 3rd stint at Derry City. Was there ever a time where you thought you mightn't get that 3rd stint, and how much are you enjoying being back? Do you appreciate it even more, considering that maybe, and again, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't want to put words in your mouth, maybe you thought at one stage you wouldn't be back?
The second time I left. Yeah, I left. I probably left as a kid. That's the way I would describe myself. I was a boy. I was a boy playing in a man's league, and it just, I had to go away and learn the game more than anything else. And I think under the spotlight of Derry and your own hometown, I don't think it's ruthless. It definitely is ruthless. It's a footballing city, and the fans expect, and they have high demands, of course, with the history that's been at the club. But for me, the best thing was, and I've said this in numerous interviews, it was going away and learning my game and learning football, men's football, and learning different positions. And look, it's the best thing now that I'm back. It's just like home, and I feel like I'm giving the best representation of myself. I've went away and I've played my trade elsewhere, and I've played a lot of games. I understand the game a lot better, and look, you can see with the crowd we brought down here today, the town is buzzing, and that's all. That's thanks to Rory. It's thanks to the managers before him, the chairman. They're bringing this buzz to the city, and us as players now, hopefully we can carry that mantle on the rest of the season and keep bringing the crowds with us.
And you played in places as well where the fans expect a lot, Glenavon and Larne, and that no doubt brought you on.
Yeah, Glenavon, Larne, Coleraine were all massive. They were all good to me, and the fans, as you say, big games. There's big derbies in that league. There's big finals. There's European nights. I've played in a lot of them, and if you were to tell me I would go away and play 200-300 games and come back here as a 25, 26-year-old to my hometown club and be playing week in, week out under one of the best managers in the country. I wouldn't have believed you probably a year ago, but I've put my head down and I've bought into everything that the club has wanted, and I've put that. The manager's put the faith in me, and I think I'm showing him, repaying him that way. So long may it continue for me, and as I say, there's a long way to go, so hopefully I can just keep doing it.
This might seem like a silly question, and if it is, by all means tell me. We're looking out onto a 4G pitch, or whatever phraseology you use now. Derry have a 4G pitch. There's a lot of talk about it, and whether or not it's a good or a bad thing, whether or not it suits you or doesn't. You played at Larne where there's a 4G. Does that mean you were more used to the pitch? Does that mean that it's that you have an experience that others don't, and maybe that's an advantage for you?
I wouldn't say it's an advantage for me. Because you look at other players, Dundalk have had serious success on this pitch, the one we're sitting at here. You look at the likes of Mickey Duffy and Patrick McGlynn who've played on these pitches. These pitches aren't scarce anymore, they're more common, and for whatever reason, for clubs, maybe it's more financially viable, or it's more, I don't know what the decision is, but they are becoming more common, both north and south. And I think, especially in the Northern Irish League, I noticed that a lot less games were getting called off, and that was probably one factor because of the Winter League. But look, I don't think these pitches benefit anyone. Maybe benefits the wider community being able to use it, but I think for us to see the best product that this league has, I think the grass is the way forward. I think if you look at the games, the big games between ourselves and Rovers, Dundalk and Rovers, those big games in this league, at Tala or on grass pitches, I think that's where you see the best of players, and it moves a lot more freely. I think maybe today with the heat as well, the ball doesn't move as nicely and you don't get to play that type of football, but we're a team that's learning a different way to play and a different way to try and win games, and I think there's a lot of teams like that. So look, I don't think it gives anyone an advantage. I think it sort of levels everybody up, and it's just the way it is. So we'll just take what we're given and we'll move on.
And it's good to get your view considering your experience. Just before I let you go, the ambitions for Derry City this season, or is it game by game?
Right now it's game by game. I think with the form we're in, obviously it's not the end of the world. We lost our last two and then we drew today, but I think now it's just about us getting back on the horse and getting back on a winning run with 3 points next week against Cork. So look, we'll roll into next week and then that'll be us.
Well, I'm a Cork City fan, so can you wait till the week after to pick up 3 points? Go do whatever you want after that.
No, look, it's the aim of the club. Every week we want to go and win through, the same as we came here today, looking to get 3 points, and look, whatever happens, but we'll be going down next week and preparing properly this week for the big game.
Ben, I've watched you several times with Derry City, with Larne, with Glenavon, with Coleraine, so it's nice to finally meet you. Thanks for talking to the ExtraTime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
This is the ExtraTime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast. It is just after full time here in Oriel Park, where Dundalk and Derry played out an exciting 2-2 draw. Derry City legend Liam Coyle was here on commentary for BBC Radio Foilside. Liam, was the draw a fair reflection of it?
Well, I thought for about 65 minutes, I thought Derry were control. I thought never looked like conceding. I think once Pat Hooven come on, changed the game. It was a threat. Derry never really contended with him. His threat was there for the whole of the match. And I think by the end, both sides would have settled for the point rather than the defeat.
Hooven came on for the second half, or came on in the second half, I should say. Should Derry have had the game won by then? They got the goal in the first half through Doherty. They had numerous chances. They were on top. They dominated, but yet just couldn't put Dundalk away.
Well, that's been the story of Derry's season. They've dominated a lot of games, haven't really scored a second goal to kill teams off. I think if Derry had scored a second goal, Dundalk wouldn't have came back from it. But once Dundalk got the equaliser, it was an even game. And Derry never looked like going on. They won the game, apart from Michael Duffy near the end.
Why are they not able to get that second goal? Why do they not have the killer touch? Is it because Duffy isn't available? Is it because Connolly at the back isn't kind of there to shepherd things at the moment? He's been a big loss the last couple of games. What do you put it down to?
I think it's a bit of both. I'm being honest. I think Mickey being out has really disrupted their season. You could see the threat. You know what he's like down here anyway, and you could sense it when he got on the ball near the end. Everybody was fearing the worst, especially in the stand. And I think that's been one of the biggest reasons. He changes games, and Derry just don't have that kind of player. They have good players and they have people that'll, maybe get you the odd goal here and there, but Duffy will do it all the time. And in tight games, you need big players like that. And Derry just haven't had him. He hasn't been available, and it's cost him, I think, over the last 6 or 7 matches.
No McElhenney today as well. Of course, Duffy did come on and he did well, so that's a positive sign.
Oh, positive. As soon as you see Mickey in the team sheet, you know he's not far away, and I'm sure if Derry had got a second goal, I don't think he would have come on when he did. I think he maybe would have come on the last 5 minutes, but because Derry were in dire straits at that stage, and you need him to come on and try and do something for you.
What does today's result do? Because Derry had lost the last 2 home games, maybe the confidence was a bit rattled, so to come to Dundalk and not lose, having gone behind, is that enough out of today, or did they kind of need to win it?
No, they needed one. Especially when you're playing against a Dundalk team that's low in confidence. Not the Dundalk team of the last 10 years, nowhere near that. And you look at that and you think, Shamrock Rovers came here last week and won comfortably. Cork have beaten Dundalk, so Derry not winning here today, it'll be viewed as 2 points lost.
If I can ask you from the Dundalk point of view, did we see in the last maybe 25 minutes how they should approach games? Because they are used to outplaying teams both here and away, but they're not the Dundalk of old, as you have said. So maybe they should do the 4-4-2, crosses in, knockdowns, the whole lot, because they were very effective.
100%, very effective. Once they went more direct, but it's trying to keep Pat fit. You keep him fit, you've got a focal point there. You keep Robbie Benson fit, you've got a player that can always score goals. And Wee Wardy can produce bits of magic at times. But I think if you're going to play a 5-4-1 at home and you haven't got the players in the middle of the field to keep the ball, then you're going to struggle, because teams you'll just invite pressure. But if you go direct and you get players up around Hooben, then you're always going to be a chance of winning games.
It's a good sign of a coach and a good sign of a team that, even though they're without big players and they lost Greg Sloggett today, let's hope from the Dundalk point of view that's not a serious injury, that they were still able to get something from the game.
But 100%, because I was doing comedy and I thought, I don't know how they're going to get back on this game, because they never looked like it. But as I said, once Hooben started getting himself in amongst the centre halves and winning free kicks and getting the team higher up the field, they started showing it. But there's a bit of belief grew in the play. And then it's a great header from Benson, which we've seen him do over the years. Great ball from Wardy. And then I don't know what happened with the second goal. It was crazy bit of defending from Derry, but they showed great character. They get themselves without playing well, but it'll give them a bit of confidence. And I'm a big fan of Stephen O'Donnell. You know what I mean? Big fan of him as a football player, and I think he's done a great job as a manager.
Who's going to win this league?
Well, at the start of the season, I thought if Derry had kept all their players fit. Now I'm not so sure. I think West Rovers, Yarnite Rovers were last half an hour were exceptional on Friday night in the last, especially coming back from 2-0 down, showed great character. So seeing less teams can get away from Rovers, then they're going to be still the team they beat.
And I don't think anyone would disagree. You mentioned that you watched the Rovers Shels game on Friday night. What did you make of Shels?
I thought Shels organised, well coached, have a few dangerous players. You could see near the end that they play a certain way. They try and play in the break, and they don't play like Shamrock Rovers. But once Rovers then got a foothold in the game, you could see there's a nervousness in the way Shels played, trying to hold on to a lead. And I thought Rovers, Jack Byrne, Graham Burke were phenomenal Friday night.
I think Damien Duff maybe took exception, or took it as a negative, that Stephen Bradley said in the lead-in that they play in a low block. He said, we don't, but we go and defend our box when we need to. What did you make of those comments?
Well, all these low blocks and that there's definitely, I think there was 2 low blocks, once they went 2-0 up. Whether that was down to Rovers pushing them back, or it was just a psychological thing where Shelburne have said, we'll try and defend this now. That's the way Shels play. They play on the break. They don't come out and play. And but when you have players like Burke, Jack Byrne, who change games, you're always on me a chance, and that's what they did.
And just before I let you go, today was at 3 o'clock. Today was a Sunday afternoon 3 o'clock kickoff in the sunshine. Did it make you nostalgic? Because that's when you would have played most of your football Sunday.
It really did, and that, because my first away game when I broke onto the Derry team in 1988, believe it or not, my first away game on the squad was here.
Oh wow!
Was it on a Sunday evening? Was at Oriel Park, because my first 2 games were away, or were at the Brandywell. So I came down here and I was playing against it. I come out and I seen the likes of Terry Evison and Barry Keogh and people like that, and And I come on standing beside them where I was watching them, and then it brought back memories. But I don't think it's going to be a normal occurrence, to be quite honest. I don't think Joe Biden's going to be here every week.
It was a nice trip down memory lane, though. There's a different vibe to it, isn't it? And now it was enjoyable today because it was a good game, but it's a different vibe to Friday night.
Vibe. Friday night under the lights it's different. It brings a different energy. There's no doubt about it.
Well, neither you or Oriel Park has changed since 1988.
Well, thanks very much. I really appreciate that, because funny enough, I was just saying to somebody before here that I remember scoring a goal here in the quarter-final against Dundalk when Dermot Keeley was the manager, and from the halfway line I'd done Jody Byrne, and the pitch was like put it like this here, it doesn't look like that there, you know.
Yeah, okay.
But great memories.
Liam Coyle, formerly of Derry City, you were here today with BBC Radio Foyle. Thanks for joining us on the extratime.com, a League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast. Now, just before we move on from Oriel Park, credit to the Dundalk and Derry City fans who came together in the 24th minute to applaud the late Private Sean Rooney, who had strong connections to both Dundalk and Derry. Fans in the shed held up a banner in memory of a young person who left us far too soon. Our thoughts are with his friends, family and fellow members of the Defence Forces. On Friday night, the top two met at Dalymount Park, with St Pat's beating Bohs by 3-2 to continue a hot streak. Up next for the Saints is Shamrock Rovers on Friday night at Richmond Park. That game is already sold out, so if you don't have a ticket, the only place you'll be able to see it is on LOI TV. Now, former Shelbourne and Bohemians defender Owen Heary watched the game on Friday. He was in Dalymount Park, and in the cold light of day gave us his thoughts on where both Bohs, who are still the leaders, and the Saints are at.
Hi Oisin, just reflecting on the Dublin derby between Bohs and St Pat's. Really entertaining game, great crowd, great atmosphere in Dalymount. Some fantastic goals, real quality in the goals. Some great passes of play, a lot of talking points, 2 sending-offs, and some vulnerable defending by both teams, but overall really entertaining game. Reflecting on the game, Bohs started very well, took the game to Pats, scored a deserved opener. Great strike by Adam MacDonald, left foot volley. Really, really quality goal. Pats then started to build their way back into the game. They got a corner. Forrester takes it. Not a great corner, but just seems to see if everyone goes straight in. Owen Doyle claims a touch, but I don't think he did. I think it went straight in. And then for 10-15 minutes, Bohs just lost their way a bit. Allowed Pats then to get a grip of the game, and they scored 2 goals within those 10-15 minutes. And then just before half time, Flores gets sent off as well. So it's an uphill battle then for Bohs second half. But in reflection, second half, Bohs were excellent. Took the game to Pats, even with the man down. Really took the game to them. Got back into the game, 3-2. It was all set for an entertaining finish. Unfortunately, didn't find the equaliser. And so finished 3-2 to Pats. But overall, really entertaining game. Just reflecting on the season so far for Bohs. Bohs have been excellent. They're sitting top of the table. Declan Devine has put together a really good young side. They commit a lot of bodies forward. They work hard off the ball. As I say, defensively, they'll be a little bit naive at times, lose their way in the games for little spells, but manage to get punished in those times that they lose their way. But that's something that they'll learn as the season progresses. I'm sure Declan will be working on that with them. Won 7 out of 10 games, lost 3 games. Unfortunately, 3 Dublin derbies, lost away to Shels, and then the last 2 home games they've lost to Rovers and Pats. But in between that, they've gone up to Derry and got a great result, 1-0 win up there. So yeah, overall I think you'd be quite pleased as a Bohs fan, and Bohs fans, we'd be happy that we're sitting top of the table, 4 points ahead of St Pat's in second place. Just looking at Pat's season so far, started the season well, ended up losing 3 games on a bounce. Dundalk 5-0, Sligo beat them, and then Bohs beat them 2-0. And I'm sure Tim felt under a bit of pressure with those results. Went up to the game against Rovers, 2-1 down, last minute they managed to score 2-2, and then they've been unbeaten since then. They've won the last 4 games against UCD, Cork, Drogheda and Bohs. So he's managed to turn it around a bit, and they're in second place. I'm sure he'd be delighted with the result last night. Looking at the team, it's a Pat's team that pass forward a little bit more quickly. Look for the run of Doyle in behind, playing balls down the channels. But what's noticeable is that every time a ball goes wide, they look to whip it in straight away. Owen Doyle's expecting it, and he's looking to go on the end of their crosses. But even Forrester last night on the blind, over the shoulder, ball rolls back. He's not looking to see where anyone is. He's just whipping it in there. So it's a little bit of a different Pat's team from what you used to of, passing it all the way across the back. They seem to be playing a little bit forward more quickly and getting a lot of bodies into the box while they do that. So I'm sure Tim is quite happy now that they're second place in the European spots.
Well, that's almost it for the extratime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast. Before we go, let's just zip through the results of the weekend. On Friday night, well, you just heard all about it there with Owen Heary. Bohs losing 3-2 to St. Pat's. UCD got a big win against Cork City, 1-0 the final score there. And also on Friday, Shamrock Rovers 2, Shelbourne 2. In the First Division, Galway United beat Bray Wanderers 6-0. Waterford overcoming Kerry FC 1-0. Athlone Town beating Cove Ramblers 2-0. And Finn Harps getting an important win. They beat Treaty United by 2-0. On Saturday evening, Sligo Rovers and Drogheda United played out a 1-1 draw at the Showgrounds. In the Women's National League, Shelbourne overcoming Treaty United 1-0. DLR Waves beating Sligo Rovers 3-0. Galway United and Shamrock Rovers drawing 1-1. Cork City losing 2-1 at home to Peamount, and Wexford Youths beating Athlone Town by 3 goals to... Sorry, other way around. Wexford Youths losing 3-1 to Athlone Town. So let's take a look at the table and run you through it from the Women's National League. Peamount on top on 15 points. Shelbourne second on 13 points. Shamrock Rovers third on 11. Galway United 4th on 10. Bohemians 5th on 9. Athlone 6th on 7. DLR Waves also on 7 points, but they're 7th. Wexford Youths are in 8th position on 6 points. Who would have thought that this far into the Women's National League season? Treaty United in 9th on 4 points. Cork City 10th on 1 point. They're just above Sligo Rovers, who have yet to register a point so far this season. Let's take a look at the men's Premier Division table. Bohemians on top, they're on 21 points. St. Patrick's Athletic second on 17 points. Derry City third on 16 points. Shamrock Rovers fourth on 15. Shelbourne fifth on 13. Sligo Rovers sixth on 13 also. Drogheda United seventh on, guess how many? That's right, 13. Dundalk 8th on 12 points. Cork City 9th on 9 points. And UCD, thanks to that win, just 4 points behind Cork City on 5 points. Have I forgotten any of the tables? Yes, I have, the First Division table. So let's take a look at that now and run through it. Galway first on 27 points. Waterford second on 17 points. They do have a game in hand though. Bray third on 15. Cove Ramblers fourth on 14. Athlone fifth on 13. Wexford FC 6th on 11. Finn Harps 7th on 10. Longford 8th on 6. Treaty United second from bottom on 6. And Kerry FC on 2 points. Will we flick ahead and see what's happening at the weekend? Why not? In the men's Premier Division on Friday night, Shelbourne taking on Dundalk, Cork City up against Derry City, Drogheda United meeting Bohs, and St. Patrick's Athletic hosting Shamrock Rovers. I'm not just saying it because I'm commentating on it, but I think it's fair to say that is the game of the night. It will be live on LOI TV. In the First Division on Friday night, Kerry FC taking on Galway United, Waterford FC hosting Athlone Town, Wexford welcoming Finn Harps, and Cove Ramblers taking on Treaty United. What's happening on Saturday? Well, Sligo Rovers host UCD in the men's Premier Division. In the women's Premier Division, Galway United welcome Sligo Rovers. Treaty United take on DLR Waves. Peamount United up against Wexford Youths. Shamrock Rovers meet Bohs in a Dublin derby, and Athlone Town taking on Cork City. In the First Division, Longford Town take on Bray Wanderers. So that's all coming up next weekend. There'll be more on all of those games and everything else that's happening on the extratime.com podcast with Luke Jordan. That will be coming out later in the week. Remember, if you want to read any of the match reports from the weekend, to go back and check what happened, you can do so by just going to extratime.com. I'd love to get your feedback, good, bad or indifferent, via my Twitter at Oisin Langan. That's it for this kind of strangely timed podcast. I wasn't available to go to a match on Friday night, but luckily, thanks to President Joe Biden, the game between Dundalk and Derry was moved to Sunday, which means that you got your extratime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast for the week, granted at a different time. I hope the timing didn't put you off and that you listened as always. And I really do mean it. I would love to get your feedback via my Twitter channel at Oisin Langan. At Extra Time News is Extra Time's Twitter channel. That's it. Have a good week. We'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye bye.